For those of you I have yet to meet, it is my pleasure to open our conference and networking event. My name is Ruth Gilbert, and I'm the Chief Exec of the Career Colleges Trust. And just to highlight, particularly for those who are very new to us, we are a charity just completing our fourth year. We'll be 4 years old in October. And I say that because we're really a group of people who are incredibly enthusiastic about improving the life and work prospects of young people. And we do that by bringing together a wider network of people like yourselves to set up sector specialist colleges, whether it's healthcare career college or digital career college or hospitality and catering or professional services, construction, the list goes on. But these are all in skill shortage areas, and they're all about improving the job opportunities and also the career aspirations of young people who probably otherwise wouldn't know these opportunities exist. And we are very grateful to the employers who support us in that venture in helping us with the design, with the delivery, and very much with ongoing advice and support, many of whom are speaking today. So welcome one and all. This is our third conference, and our theme today is Building Skills for Business in an Education Revolution. Now, I'm not going to stop too long to explain that because we have other speakers today who are going to talk about the revolution we are undergoing. And that's not just qualifications and policy. I think that's recognizing that also we need to do things differently in a digital economy. So it's a combination of drivers. We have a number of keynote speakers who I will introduce, and indeed our new chairman will introduce today to you as they're ready to share their case studies and indeed their insights with you. I'm particularly grateful to those who have travelled far and wide. We have the spread of the UK here today, or certainly of Britain. We have from Yeovil in the south to Northumberland, Gateshead, South Tyneside in the north, and lots in between, Birmingham, London, and the home counties. And I'm really grateful for you all making that effort to come and network today. We are in quite grand surroundings, but I remind you that the idea of today really is a network. I don't want anyone feeling formality. If there's something you want to ask, please shout. We're here to help. I've put up our hashtag, our Career Colleges hashtag for the conference today is CCT 2017, and our Twitter handle as well. Please do tweet today, share your stories. We're going to have many of our learners join us throughout the day. They're going to join us a little later. Some are going to share their stories with you, and some are going to support actually helping us through the day as well. So again, some more introductions to come. For those who don't know our trustees, these are our founding trustees, many of whom, again, are in the room, and some of whom are going to speak with us shortly. But I also would like to highlight a couple of very important people. Where is Uncle Bob? I have to do it, Bob. So, known to many of you as Bob Nasida. Bob, please give everybody a wave. Bob, I do feel like you're part of the family, although not officially a staff member of the Career College Trust, but I'm very grateful for the network and support that you've given us this year. And also to highlight our pioneers in the room, our very brave pioneers. Alan from Hugh Baird, and where's Andrew and Gary from ALSEC? These were our first career colleges in Bromley, originally in Orpington, and in Liverpool. And it takes some brave souls to be the first to do anything. So, you know, our longest standing partners and people I do encourage you to talk to today about their experiences. We're going to hear from Alan later today, so thank you. There are many more, and my final point of embarrassment today is to ask my colleagues in crime from the Trust to stand, please, so that others may identify you. Dilys, Karen, you cannot escape. Roger, if I may ask you just to stand just for a moment. Our new chairman I'll introduce shortly. Dawn, Bev, Debbie, this is not a name test. Where's Claire? You're not standing, Claire. I feel like I'm back to school mistress. So forgive me, but I want to highlight my colleagues to you because they bring a wealth of support. Is Julia in the room? Yeah. No, Julia's a little poorly. Julia is an industry expert from Oracle. I have colleagues here who are industry specialists from professional services, catering and hospitality, leading on our Pan-London construction work and healthcare, digital, infrastructure, building online programs, digital technology, marketing, to name but a few. These are part of the resource available to you today. So again, I just encourage you to make those links, and they will link you to other people in the room today and say, oh, you must meet. Okay. Right, final thanks to Grosvenor and to our previous chairman, Luke Johnson, for arranging this venue. He has a very long-standing relationship with the Grosvenor, which would otherwise make this impossible. So I'm particularly grateful that we're able to come back here today. I'm going to do a whistle-stop tour through some slides in alphabetical order, and I'm not going to say too much about them, but I just want to share with you some of the achievements above and beyond achievement of certification. Our students are just completing their academic year, so we don't yet have full data, if you will, on student outcomes for this year. We will share that with you, and there's a lot more in the annual review in your pack. But I'm really proud that our career college sponsors and our educators are amongst the best in the country. And I only need to show you just a few of these to show you some of the broader expertise and pioneering work that they have done both with us and very much in their own right. Now, we're going to have a network of approaching 20 career colleges by the end of this year, most of whom are represented in the room today. But we are continuing to grow, and we expect that to expand further. The opportunities to network now are greater than ever. And I urge you, if there's one call to action today from me, it is to share the workload. Share it with us and ask for help, but also with each other, because there are enough career colleges now in each of the sectors to enable you to share the project-based learning, share the employer links, share strategies, share challenges, share what's worked and what hasn't worked. So please do talk to each other today. There are so many. And just a few of the employers that have worked with us in so many capacities. Here are 3 new partners, and I stress that because some of our existing partners are also opening new career colleges and expanding their portfolio next year, but we're very proud to have Gateshead, Havering and Westminster Kingsway join us in this coming academic year, and they are all represented here today. We will introduce you in due course. Without further ado, I hand over to our founder and trustee, Lord Baker.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here today because it was just over 4 years ago at the Edge annual lecture that we announced the creation of this new concept, career colleges. Where did it come from? It really grew out of the movement for university technical colleges. I started about 7 or 8 years ago. We've now got 45 of those, another 5 opening. And they concentrated principally on engineering and digital work. But we had lots of groups in the country coming to us saying, well, why can't you do catering and hospitality? Why can't you do tourism? Why can't you do business studies? And we said, really, it's not our bag. We don't really understand those worlds. But obviously, the FE world did understand them. And so I turned to Ruth Gilbert, who I met first when she was running an FE college in South London, to see if we could develop a new concept. And it's really the work that she did with our team that has created career colleges. And so I'd like to thank her very warmly. She's quite an exceptional person. She's very determined, as you can see, and very persuasive, the 2 things you need to succeed in life. And she has certainly succeeded with career colleges. And when I announced it, it was back 4 years ago, it had the blessing of the Minister, Matthew Hancock. That's about all he gave us. he didn't give us any money at all. And for Ruth actually to develop a network of colleges like this, with no actual government money behind it, is a remarkable achievement in the history of British and English education. The position that we are today is that there are 19 career colleges, and another, well, there will be 19 by September of this year, because, as you say, some more are opening. So by the end of this year, we'll have 19 career colleges covering 7 industries, and as Ruth said, from Yeovil to Northumberland. The industries, as I said, covered things like hospitality. You were quite right in what you said in the film, that if you go to a London hotel, about the only person who speaks English is the doorman. The staff, and certainly the catering staff, really all come from overseas, because some of the European countries have very exceptionally good catering colleges, Austria and Switzerland in particular. And we must try and do the same. And the 2 first ones that got off the ground were catering ones in Bromley and in Hugh Baird. And Hugh Baird in Liverpool. I want more catering colleges, because you have marvellous lunches there when you visit them. And the lunch I had at Hugh Baird must have been the best in the whole of North of England that year. And the great thing about these colleges is that when you have youngsters leaving, as you will have at the end of this month, both at 16 and at 18, I will absolutely guarantee, I'll take a bet that no one gets a job seeker's allowance. Make sure I've got the bet. For every job seeker allowance, you pay me £10. That's the bet. But as you know, the purpose of these colleges is to train youngsters and give them skills and make them employable. I was very glad that we based the concept of this from FE College. FE colleges had tried to recruit at 14 in the past, and they hadn't done it very well. It was very patchy. They took some to do the basic sort of biblical trades, if you like, but that has largely faded as schools no longer, because all technical subjects, as you know, are being squeezed out of ordinary schools. It's a disastrous policy. EBAC is a totally disastrous policy as far as technical education is concerned in our country, and we're trying to change all of that. And this year, over 1,000 students will benefit from career college education, and of course that number will be greater next year. And it is remarkable that it has been done in the financial climate facing FE, but the career college within an FE college is a concept that is working. The students, as you can see, get a lot of confidence quite quickly. When you go to career colleges, you'll find that the students are quite happy to talk very freely with you, not always the case in schools, and talk about what they're doing, and they have a confidence because they are treated as adults at 14. And that makes a huge amount of difference in their attendance and in their applications. But we also critically get a lot of help from employers. And this is what is very distinctive both in university technical colleges and career colleges. You know, in ordinary schools, headmasters and headmistresses try and attract local companies. They don't succeed very well. Perhaps, you know, visit the factory on a Friday afternoon. What we expect in career colleges is a much greater commitment by employers to actually come in and teach, bring projects to the college to work on, take in the youngsters on day release and that sort of thing. And that is, again, quite unique. FE colleges really haven't developed that themselves very strongly, but certainly career colleges do it very, very effectively. And the sort of companies that give us that support and people is Prue Leith, the famous chef and trainer of chefs, Le Gavroche, Accenture, the big accountancy company, Amazon, PwC, McAlpine, Malmaison, Gardner and Theo, just a few, and another 150 smaller businesses across the UK. And all these employers realize how important it is to nurture young talent to create a future line for their own employees. That's why they are so committed to it. They can see they're helping to train people whom they will want to employ at 16 or at 18. Critical to all of this is a greater understanding of the digital talents and digital economy. We're on the threshold of a huge digital revolution. It's beginning to happen all around us. And I take the view that this digital revolution is going to destroy more jobs than it creates. Now that is anti-historical. When I was a technology minister in the early days of Thatcher, I would make endless speeches saying, embrace technology, it's bound to create more jobs. The Industrial Revolution created more jobs through the power of steam than it threatened. The car revolution created more jobs. The train revolution created more jobs. Computer revolution created more jobs. But I don't think the digital revolution is going to do that, because the digital revolution affects absolutely every company in the world, every country in the world, and every household. And that we've never had anything in world history that has that sort of spread and power. And that is power. It is extraordinary. In the tablet I have in my pocket now, when I was a technology minister also under Mr. Heath, that's centuries ago, but you needed a computer about the size of this room to actually have the power that is now in my pocket. And that means there's a great deal of power and inventiveness and creativity all over. And you don't know whether someone is going to produce a new concept in a Melbourne garage or in some place in India or somewhere in South America that will absolutely change employment in the world. I'm not alone in thinking that it's going to destroy more jobs. McKinsey has done 2 major reports showing that unskilled workers are the first ones to be hit. Take truck driving, there are 3 million truck drivers in America, another 8 million doing sandwich bars and stopovers. Once Mercedes has got its driverless lorries on the road, most of those jobs will disappear. And those are unskilled jobs. And you will all know that when you buy anything from Amazon, the only time that a human hand is likely to have touched it is someone comes and knocks on your door and say they've got a delivery. Well, they're already experimenting with drone delivery and little robotic deliveries. And so I think it's unskilled. The thing that's sustained the English education system since 1870 is the large number of unskilled jobs that were available for those who didn't do very well at school. Now, most of those are going to disappear, I think, as a result of robotic developments and driverless this and driverless that. And the other group that are going to also experience huge mass redundancy is the middle management. When you read of Deutsche Bank laying off 30,000, they're not laying off bank clerks, they're laying off middle managers. People who did probably a humanities degree at university, then joined a big company, expecting a very successful career in middle management, higher salaries, better houses, and all the rest of it. And a lot of those jobs are literally going to disappear through big data and artificial intelligence. And so the concentration of career colleges, they invested in a company that had digital skills, and particularly in the training of teachers, and that is now available to all of you in career colleges, and going very well indeed. And I think that's really making career colleges very suited indeed for the digital age. And you see, this year, schools, primary schools, have been asked to do coding. One of the reasons in Estonia, their biggest export is computer scientists, and they've done that because they've had coding in Estonian schools for over 10 years. We're just starting in primary schools this year, and it's very patchy because primary school teachers can't code for a start. They have to find people to help them from outside. But I think secondary schools should also be made to teach coding. And I would hope that, and this is what I'm campaigning for now, is that one of the compulsory subjects at 16 should not be a foreign language. That should now be a voluntary subject, which I made it when I was Education Secretary. And instead of a compulsory foreign language at GCSE, I think there should be a compulsory computer sciences exam for everybody, because I think that is the future. And it's more important for students to understand a computer language than to pick up a rather vague familiarity with a foreign language. And so by positioning themselves in this digital way, the career colleges movement has worked very well indeed. So we're helping to teach the teachers in digital, which is very, very important. As to the future, we had established a very good relationship with the former technology minister, Robert Halfon, who was very enthusiastic about career colleges, and I got Ruth to see him, and we were expecting great things. And he was rather rashly and wrongly sacked. I think that's a big mistake, because I had a real love for the world of technology, and he was very much down to earth. And we've yet to meet the new minister. We're going to try and find a meeting with her, Ruth, to try and engage her support as well, and to realise, because the development of career colleges has rather gone on rather under the blanket. It hasn't been, I'm not suggesting it anything other associated under the blanket, but it has rather gone on along, as it were, without high-profile development. And I think now it needs being taken very much more seriously, particularly as the whole policy of the government is to improve technical education. You've got the apprenticeship system coming in and post-16 training. But we believe very strongly that if you can attract youngsters at 13, 14, many of whom are very fed up with their normal schools, then beginning that training at 14 gives them a much better chance to become more highly qualified. Because by 16 they will have had a good level 2 qualification in catering and hospitality, for example, which they would not get if they started at 16 until they were 18. And so it gives them a really much better start. So I would like to thank you all for all the work that you've done to make career colleges successful. We're very, very grateful for that. And I would also like to thank all the team who stood up for the work that they've done, really almost single-handed, each of them single-handed, in creating this movement. It is a remarkable example of what can be done by real enthusiasm in an area which is needed. And the purpose of all career colleges is to provide our young people at 16 or 18 with employable skills, skills which they can actually link to an income stream, maybe in full-time employment, possibly in part-time employment, possibly in self-employment. But the skills they must have had experience of working in a team, they have experience of problem solving, they have experience of making things with their own hands. That doesn't happen in our school system. It only happens with career colleges and UTCs. And so thank you, Ruth, for what you've done. I warmly congratulate you. I look forward to an even more expansion next year. Thank you all very much.
I wish I could take so much credit, Lord Baker. I have to say everyone in this room has made a big contribution to the design, the planning, and indeed the delivery in our career colleges. Without further ado, I do want to hand over to our new chairman with just a very short introduction, because time won't permit me to actually share with you the CV and the experience of our new esteemed chairman. Suffice to say that Roger Daw has been an education advocate, ambassador, passionate believer, and indeed very much engaged with education for many, many years. And during that time has served as private secretaries to some incredibly eminent politicians, has been a Director General of the Department for Education, and every time we speak about somebody new, I find there's some link to you, Roger, which is very comforting in a way, and I welcome your reflection and wisdom. So over to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ruth. I must say I feel very much the new boy here today amongst all of you, and I feel for me this is going to be a learning experience, but I've been asked to say a few words along with Lord Baker to start proceedings. As Ruth said, in a way, one of the advantages I've had is seeing the further education sector from a variety of different viewpoints. I was in the Manpower Services Commission in the 1980s, remember Youth Opportunities Programme, Youth Training Scheme, etc., where we got very heavily involved with further education and indeed depended on further education for much of our delivery. After a spell there, I moved back into the Department for Employment as Director General. I was involved in setting up training and enterprise councils and all of that. And then when I retired, I worked for a time as a strategic advisor to KPMG on further education and higher education. And then when I retired, I became involved with Bromley College and LSEC. And I forgot to say, I was Director General of the Department for Education from 1992 to 2000, when the further education sector, as it now is, was set up. So I've seen the FE sector from a number of viewpoints, and also, of course, because I was at Bromley College, that became London South East College, I saw one of the first career colleges. Now, I used to go around to conferences saying it was the best. I can't say that here today because I'm sure you're all as good as London South East College, Careers College. But it was an amazing, and it is an amazing success, going down very well with employers and students and within the college. And it always seemed to me offering a demonstration to other parts of the college about what could be achieved. So that when I finished at LSEC in the end of March, I thought, well, that would probably be it for me for further education. And then this lady came along, and after quite a lot of arm twisting combined with charm, asked me to take over this job. But I was glad to do that because of what I'd seen at London South East colleges on what a careers college could achieve. So as a new boy, I'm not going to pontificate on career colleges. There'll be others doing that today. I want to look at the bigger perspective of the vocational education and training, how it's developed, where we are today, where we might go. I don't want to spend too much time looking back, because at my age one tends to do that, but just picking out some of the things that really come out of my career over what is about 40 years linking with further education. A couple of points. First, the ludicrous number of changes there has been in structures, in institutions and delivery arrangements. I can claim, if that's the right word, to have been involved in the creation and abolition of the Manpower Services Commission, the creation and abolition of training and enterprise councils, the creation and abolition of the Further Education Funding Council, the setting up of the Learning and Skills Council, and then I retired, and of course that was then abolished, and the story has gone on from there. Secondly, because of our particular culture in this country, and Lord Baker has touched on this, it's always been an uphill job to get vocational education and training regarded as equal to the academic route through schools, A-levels and universities. Most ministers of all parties, most senior civil servants, most education journalists went up that academic route themselves, and it's always an uphill job then to establish the importance of vocational education and training. And with that, it's often, the result of that is often a tougher financial settlement for vocational education compared with academic education. And within that context, it's always been a particular challenge to bring employers and colleges together. In the MSc, we tried to do that. We had a governing body, including the CBI. In TECs, Training and Enterprise Councils, of course, that's exactly what they were set up to achieve, employer-led bodies. So over all those years, many attempts have been made, and Careers College is the latest attempt, which of course is going to work, to get that act together. Having gone through that, I don't think it's all gloom, because despite these challenges, I think considerable progress has been made since I first became involved in the 1980s and since the FE sector was set up in 1992. Colleges are much more effective, and in recent years, technical and vocational education has received greater prominence, and we've got to a point where we've got a pretty clear base now of the academic route, the vocational route with full-time vocational route with the new T-levels coming, and the new apprenticeship arrangements. So we've got a fairly clear triangular base, if you like, all relatively new developments coming together at the same time. And interestingly, in the recent election, all political parties emphasise the importance of vocational education and apprenticeships. And since the election, the government have again emphasised that importance. So despite the current political uncertainty, I think we are in a good position now to advance over the next 5 years. And Brexit, in whatever form it takes, is going to put a premium on skills, the development to the maximum of the skills of young people and, of course, of adults. So that's where we are now. looking ahead, what are the key priorities for this and any government over the next 5 years, and indeed for all of us? First, I think we want to see a continuing commitment to the importance of vocational education and training. That's key both for economic growth and for students to make the most of their potential on the vocational and training routes. And that, of course, as Lord Baker has said, and his recent amendment will help on this process, along with very good careers advice for 14-year-olds and even before, so that they're well informed on the vocational and educational route. And alongside that, of course, fair funding for young people on vocational routes equivalent to those on academic routes. I think, too, we want to see no further major changes in structures, institutions, and delivery arrangements. In that the department, their agencies, colleges, other providers should be able to get on with the job without being disturbed by further institutional change. And I think there's some encouraging signs of that. Anne Milton, the new minister, made her, as it were, opening speech at the Association of Employment and Learning Providers conference last week, and I was pleased to see that her big theme was now we must focus on delivery to make a success of all these new routes. And let's hope that she sticks to that and, of course, embraces career colleges as well. And then finally, and this is where obviously career colleges come right to the fore, we need the closest possible working arrangements between employers, colleges, and other providers. And that's always been an issue in the history of vocational education. We need employers who are absolutely clear what their requirements are for skills as they look ahead for the future of their companies. We need colleges very close to employers so that they pick up the signals about what those requirements are and quickly respond to them. And of course, we need well-motivated and supported students who make the most of those opportunities. And it seems to me that that is exactly where career colleges come to the fore. As I said, I'm not going to talk at any length on career colleges today. I'm a new boy and I'm here to learn. But I did ask Ruth, what are the key characteristics of good career colleges? And this is what she told me. And that's become my kind of text, and I'm sure you in careers colleges would be your text as well. That is working with colleges to remove any barriers in colleges to skill-based education, mentoring and CPD for the educators in colleges and in other providers. And then very clear career pathways with employer engagement in the programs all the way through from their design to their carrying out and to what happens afterwards. And then thirdly, engaging, inspiring industry leaders and companies and brand names to come in and motivate and mentor students. That's what I saw happening at Bromley in the LSEC colleges, and that is absolutely key, it seems to me, both to helping the colleges and to motivating the students. And then, as Lord Baker has emphasised, the importance of the digital platform and digital skills for the digital economy in which career colleges are becoming increasingly involved, and indeed other colleges too. And finally, putting employers in the lead on employability skills. We obviously want to see students moving up through colleges, getting the right skills, the right careers advice to end up in skilled jobs with employers. And we need to engage employers not just after they've completed their education, but in their education to make sure that, that those people emerging, young people emerging, have got the skills they will require at work. And then how do we define success? Well, we define success in terms of the learner progression at the end of education as they go further into education or into employment. And that, it seems to me, is what career colleges are all about, what they're seeking to achieve. And as we look ahead, there's going to be a premium on skills, and career colleges are well set to play a major part in that process of dramatically improving our vocational education and training performance in this country. That's all I want to say at this stage. As I've said, I'm here to learn, and one of the best groups of people to learn from, of course, are professors. And I'm pleased to say we have with us today a professor of further education and skills, I guess probably the first ever professor of further education and skills, Martin Dole, who many of you will remember as Chief Executive of the Association of Colleges. Also, I'm delighted to say now a special advisor to the Trust Board, and Martin, drawing on his considerable experience and now his links with career colleges, will tell us more about how he sees life as it now is and the role of career colleges. Thank you.